Heard on Thursdays with Nikki is about to go live online. Catch HOT, the iconic radio show that made Philippine FM radio talk, every Thursday on the Monster.
Streaming video on the Monster Facebook page at RX931, the Monster YouTube channel at RX931, and twitch.tv/Monster RX931.
You heard on Thursday's host, Nikki Porter. Stand by and enjoy the program.
Hello, Monsters. Good evening, and welcome to the show that made Philippine FM radio talk that's heard on Thursdays on The Monster. I'm your host this evening, Nikki Porter. The holiday season, as we all know, Monsters, Filipinos are very much looking forward to it, celebrating it already in September, and so literally, it's kind of here, right? And with that, of course, comes UNICEF's limited edition greeting cards featuring the artwork of various renowned artists. And this tradition has been going on for several decades, and they were doing this to raise funds to support vulnerable children around the world. This year, UNICEF Philippines is proud to feature the joyful art of Manuel Baldemor on its Christmas cards. A renowned Filipino folk artist, Manny has been contributing his time and talent to UNICEF greeting cards globally for nearly 2 decades. So to talk more about it, we have Carli Snyman joining us on the show. She is a chief of Private Fundraising and Partnerships at UNICEF Philippines. Manila is her first duty station for UNICEF, and prior to this, she worked with Doctors Without Borders in both her home country of South Africa and Brazil. She holds a Master's of Marketing Management with distinction from the University of the Witwatersrand. And she is married, and she loves the outdoors, and she loves to scuba dive in her free time. But first, we will talk about her new duty here in UNICEF. So heard on Thursdays. Let's welcome to the show, Carli. Hi.
Hi, Nikki. Hi, listeners. I'm so happy to be here on the show. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, and thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me about UNICEF and also your Christmas card campaign for this year. But first, I'm sure there's a lot of monsters who have heard of UNICEF but don't really know what UNICEF is. So could you shed some light on that? What does UNICEF do, and what does it do in the Philippines specifically?
Okay, lovely. Well, hi, monsters. Thank you for giving me, some of your listening time. I really appreciate it. So, just to give some background, so UNICEF, so it's an acronym, right? Like, let's start there. So UNICEF is the United Nations Children's Emergency Fund. So it was started right after the Second World War, and because during the wars, I saw that there were a lot of orphans, and people were terribly affected, etc. So that's why it was started to help the world's children. So UNICEF works to promote and protect the rights of every child globally and in the Philippines, with a particular focus on those who are most vulnerable and disadvantaged. We work together with the Philippine government to improve national policies, programs, and services for children and adolescents. And together with partners, because it's not just us for ourselves, it's the UN, our government partners, our CSO partners, or and our donors, right? We address, so together with all these partners and you, the listener, we address common barriers to the realization of the rights on health and nutrition, education, protection, and support before and after emergencies. So if you're looking at UNICEF and what UNICEF does, it's really, what do kids need, right? It's really focused on children, and I'm sure we all know that kids need everything, right? They need a place to stay. They need health and nutrition. They need education, vaccinations, all these types of things. So that is the focus of UNICEF. Like, we are there and to help every child.
Yeah, and so here in the Philippines specifically, what are the most pressing issues in addition to what you were saying about like all the different areas in which you are, that UNICEF is trying to look after and take care of the most vulnerable children? Like, in the Philippines specifically, what would you say would be the most pressing issues that UNICEF is trying to address?
Great. No, thanks for the question. I think are a lot of different issues, right? It's not just one specific thing, and a lot of it is kind of interrelated, which makes it a bit more complex. But I think like what I can perhaps mention, like how we work here, or just a recent success story, for example, that happened is. So UNICEF together with Filipino Health, is set to launch the first ever severe acute malnutrition benefit package in the Philippines. So when you're looking at the Philippines, and you're looking at malnourished children, unfortunately, the 1 out of every 3 children are malnourished within the Philippines, and in areas like BARM, for example, or the Mindanao and those types of areas, that actually increases to 2 out of 3, right? So it's very important to have these malnutrition campaigns or malnutrition packages and support for children in need of these services, right? So as I said, we work together with Phil Health to work on this package, and this groundbreaking initiative puts life-saving treatment within the reach of the country's most vulnerable children. So for the first time, the country's national health insurance system includes a comprehensive support for children suffering from severe malnutrition. This is recently launched, and the rollout will soon be implemented. So this is like hot off the presses, right? So through the benefit package, families and children suffering from severe acute malnutrition will receive services worth 7,500 peso for children 0 to 6 months, and then 17,000 for children 6 to 60 months old. So this wasn't the case, I think, previously. So the financial support relieves families from the burden of medical and healthcare costs and malnutrition. So that's one of the things that we do. But as I mentioned, it's not just one specific area, right? Like we're working in, if you're looking at the Philippines overall, there are millions of children that are struggling to survive in the Philippines, from malnutrition, as I mentioned, and lack of education, to the devastating impacts of climate change and violence. These children's futures are at stake, and we at UNICEF believe that children are the future. So we need to look at all these areas. Another thing that we've also seen in the Philippines, unfortunately, is kids are struggling to cope with the impact of climate change, right? Their education and learning are being disrupted due to the extreme weather conditions, such as El Nino, La Nina, and even the recent eruption of the volcanoes here in the country, right? Like Taal, like the Vog, you can even see in Manila as well, is affecting the consistency of their learning and disrupting their access to schools. So it's, from feeding to external effects that affect children daily that we don't have necessarily control over. So it's pretty much everything that we're helping with. But I think one of the big focuses for now and into our next country program, because how UNICEF also works is every 5 years we have a new country program we sign with the government, and we just launched a new one this year for 2024 to 2028. And climate change is one of the areas that we will be focusing on, as when there is any form of typhoon or anything like that, it really seriously affects access to major services such as medical facilities, food and clean water, and sanitation facilities. So, and then it can put people further at risk. So these are some of the areas that we're working with, that we're working in the Philippines specifically. And so UNICEF Philippines, we're very focusing on the work that's being done in the Philippines, but there's also UNICEF Global, right? And we work over, I think, like 190 countries or something worldwide.
Okay. And I like that you mentioned, how climate change is impacting children. And for many, maybe it's not that much felt, especially when it comes to education, because for other students, for other children, they have access to online synchronous classes, but then you're also, for UNICEF, you're referring to those who are most vulnerable. So for those who don't have that technological access, in order to, continue their education when that's affected by climate change, by eruption, by typhoons, and other phenomena. So what role does technology play in bridging those educational gaps for the underprivileged children, especially at a time like this?
Now, technology has a big role, a huge role, right, to play these days. Um, the reason for that is because it not only provides access to information, but it bridges educational gaps, right? As technological advancements can help, Filipino children get access to education. However, at UNICEF, we also believe that apart from technological advancements, the support of the government is very crucial to enable these technologies to power education solutions in the Philippines. So, for instance, there are still a lot of remote areas in the country that have no access to electricity, and that alone is necessary for people in far-flung communities to even begin exploring technology. So,
Yeah.
it's it's so important to have access to these technologies to be able to provide access to people as well. So, it's something that UNICEF together with the Filipino government is working on so that people have access not only to their local schools and things like that, as we've seen with during the COVID lockdown, but also information from all around the world so that people can get can learn and also get exposed to different learnings and ways of thinking, which I think is really important. Yeah.
And in addition to that, so how does UNICEF also prepare to support children and families aside from the technology side of it, aside from their educational side, that's affected by natural disasters? How does UNICEF also assist like the children and the families during those kinds of emergencies?
Exactly. So we have our, developmental work, as you mentioned. That's the when it like the things that are constant, right? So you have education, you have your child protection, you have your health and nutrition and things like that. But also, during these emergencies, UNICEF works together with, our partners on the ground to provide whatever the needs are, right? So sometimes it can be some actual items, right? Like cleaning or wash kits, washes, water sanitation kits to help. It can be, providing, alternative learning spaces for kids when there is a typhoon or an emergency, because a lot of the times what happens is there'll be evacuation centers, but a lot of the times those evacuation centers are in schools, right? So where do kids go to school? So that's one of the things that we also provide, and not only are we providing like the reactive needs, but or assisting in those needs, we're also looking at it from a proactive standpoint. So if you're looking at, let's say, the climate change, right? It's an ongoing issue, and it's just going to get worse. And especially, unfortunately, like also where the Philippines is situated, there, we are, there's a lot happening, right? So with the typhoons coming, and we know that with all of these climate change aspects, these storms are set to get bigger. It will be, areas will be drier for longer, all these things. But, how do we prepare to support the children and families during these emergencies? So, children are the ones who suffer the most, right, during natural disasters and man-made conflicts. And the irony is they're the least responsible for climate change, yet they bear the greatest brunt of the impact, especially in the Philippines. So the top country in the region under the climate risk index, and the country with the highest youth eco-anxiety in the world, that is the Philippines currently. So we're supporting the government to create resilient services for children and giving children a voice to be able to access their basic services, but also looking at it from a proactive standpoint. We're working on policies when it comes to climate change, for DRR, or for disaster risk reduction, and all of these things as well. So it's from a reactive, like the typhoon or the emergency hits, and then we'll respond, and then also from proactive, like what other systems can we put in place so that it is easier, or it's more, well, not easier, it's never easy, but it's things are more accessible, I guess. Help is more accessible. So yeah, it's such a long-winded answer, but it was, those are the two parts that UNICEF is helping when it comes to emergencies. Yes.
I will say I was genuinely surprised because UNICEF does tackle different areas for these children that you're trying to protect and take care of, but like in just a short span of time, like it's really showing just how climate change really is affecting these kids who who need the help and who are being the most affected by it, but having the least accountability for it because they're not the ones really um, responsible for it. So
Exactly.
that's very enlightening, honestly. And also I'm interested in knowing, because we talked about nutrition, we talked about climate change and how that's impacting all the different areas actually that you're trying to address. But in terms of protection of children's rights also, because in the Philippines I am aware that there are children who are exposed to violence, abuse, and to all of these horrible things that children should not even be a witness to, or even just be a victim to. And so how is UNICEF addressing those kinds of issues in which they must be protecting and upholding children's rights?
No, of course, and especially like child's rights and child protection is of the utmost importance. So the issues affecting children are that's also the thing. It's not like a one specific thing, right? It's so like
Right.
and so complex, I guess, that so basically when it comes to child protection and child rights, we're looking at the needs of the country together with the government, and we're trying to help develop solutions such as laws and policies that will be put in place for the long term. So that is apart from all the other things also, right? But I think like that is the deliverable, I guess, one of the deliverables that we are working on is looking at the laws, looking at the policies, looking at how we can improve all of these. Because if you have laws that support children's rights, and then it's an easier conversation, and it will be enforced instead of just discussing it or not. There not being steps to take, I think, going forward. So it's so once again, sorry, long-winded answer. So
No
yes, we're
worries.
working with laws and policies that will help the longer term, because I think the point that I'm trying to make here is with UNICEF, it's not we're thinking ahead, right? We're thinking into the future. And it's not just for this generation of children, it's for the following generations and for the generations to come. So UNICEF has been around for more than 75 years, and actually almost 80 years, I think. And we've been we've been in the Philippines for a very long time as well. And since then, we've been working with the government, working on policies, working on all these systems strengthening, etc., to make a better world for children. So when you're working with UNICEF, it's not just a quick fix somewhere. It's really like thinking long term, like how will this affect future generations? What policies can we bring in? How can we change things so that children's rights are respected and enforced, and it'll be a better place for kids as well.
Yeah. So basically what I'm hearing is, there are initiatives, but you are looking into what, and like, the laws and the policies that exist here in which you have to work around in order to make it happen.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And so so of course, in order to make all these happen, there are some campaigns that UNICEF does launch from once in a while, and very popularly, you do have your greeting card campaign. Specifically for this season, you do have your Christmas card campaign. And how long though has this campaign, not this campaign specifically, but how long has the concept of greeting cards, and having that campaign been going on?
Yes. So it's actually been around for a very, very long time. So over 7 decades, UNICEF has been releasing limited edition greeting cards featuring the artwork of various artists from around the world. So the first one was painted by um, a, s- a 7-year-old girl, Jitka Simkova, whose village in Czechoslovakia received UNICEF emergency assistance in the form of food and medicine following World War II. So she sent her little painting as a thank you to UNICEF for helping the children, like her, recover from the devastation of war. Um, so that sparked the idea, right? And since then, UNICEF cards have gone on to raise millions of funds for children around the world. And actually, we only recently relaunched it in the Philippines. So there's only a handful of countries worldwide, but we only brought the cards back like in 2021. So it's only been like what 3-4 years now. Um,
Yeah.
and we started with Robert Alejandro. So, and one of the reasons is, I think you mentioned it earlier, right? It's the Burr months have started officially. It's already, October. So Christmas is a very um, long celebrated tradition in the Philippines. And, coming from
Right.
South Africa, like that was amazing when I just arrived here. I'm just like, oh, the spirit there is fantastic. So we actually got, like, since I've been here, I started in 2019. So since we've been here, we've been getting these calls actually from donors saying that, are you selling the Christmas cards? Is that still something you're doing? And at that time, we didn't do it. But the more research we did into the audiences and the donor market and what people are interested in, the more prevalent it became that it was a good idea to go in this direction. And we've had very good success from 2021 with this campaign to raise funds for children, and
Yeah.
we're really, really happy about that. So recently relaunched 2021, around there.
Okay,
Mm.
okay. And so when when people would when donors, I guess, would contact and want to purchase your greeting cards, or in this case Christmas cards, which we'll talk about in just a bit, proceeds would usually go where? Would it be sometimes a specific initiative or a specific goal, or is it still like is it still to address the mission of to protecting children?
No, so just to give you some background as well, so UNICEF relies on voluntary donations to help children around the world and in the Philippines. So
Right.
that is, the basis of it. So by donating through the UNICEF cards, this campaign that we have, you're helping more vulnerable children get access to their basic rights. So such as access to learning, safe water, getting vaccinated, getting protection services, and helping malnourished children get life-saving treatment. So every contribution counts. So the money that people will pay for, it's 1,000 peso for the cards, and we'll get to those details later. That money goes to UNICEF Philippines, and we spend it within the country to help children.
Okay, okay. And as you mentioned earlier, you revived the campaign in 2021, and you collaborated, as you mentioned, with Roberto Alejandro, with Larry Alcala, and then even Malang for your greeting cards. And so for this year's Christmas card campaign, you are partnering with Manuel Baldemor. And so, this is just like, a shameless plug of mine. Like, I love his paintings. It's very colorful and always like so joyful to look at, as what we mentioned also in the introduction. But give us a background on like Manuel Baldemor. Like, has he been a partner of UNICEF? Has he been doing this for some time?
Yes, actually, Mr. Manuel Baldemor, he's been contributing his time and talent for UNICEF greeting cards by allowing the reproduction of his works since the 1990s. So for almost 2 decades, right? More than 2 decades. His works have been featured in the global greeting card distributed around the world. So he's been, he's a long-term artist of UNICEF, but that was global, but we decided that we wanted to bring him in locally because of his, loved artworks, and especially it just captures the Christmas spirit so well, as you said, within the colors, right?
Yeah.
So we were so honored that were able to work with him. So we chose from his collection of amazing artworks based on their theme, right? So
Mhm.
it's mostly based on the Filipino Christmas scenes
Yes.
and rural settings, so that show the vibrant color and the spirit of Filipino life. So I can quickly perhaps like show you. This is like
Yeah.
I hope you can see it. This is the card, the box.
Hmm.
And within the box, you actually get so 4 different cards, 3 copies
Hmm.
of each. So what we also did is we went through all of Sir Manny's artworks, and we decided on 4 of them to feature. So I can quickly show you. I hope you can see.
Yeah.
So this is one of them. It's called Pasko sa Aming Bayan. So
Hmm.
please, yeah. So this is from 1992. So as you can
Hmm.
see, very, very colorful. Then
Yes.
we also have this wonderful one from 2006. So this is the Christmas Lanterns Festival. Then
Nice.
we have Graces from the Land. This is my personal favorite. I think it's absolutely beautiful,
Oh, wow.
right? Isn't that amazing? And then we have our Pasko Pamilya Filipino. So our
Hmm.
Filipino family, Christmas family.
Yeah.
So as you can see, it's very colorful, very vibrant, and
Mhm.
it's really easy to get. So it's 1,000 peso for this box, this beautiful box set. You can, and then you get these, 4 cards, 3 copies of each, and it's not only just the card that you're getting. You're actually getting a piece of Sir Manny's art, right?
Mhm.
That you can a keepsake.
Yeah.
Um, you're getting hope, or you're giving hope to a child, actually, if you think about it, because this money will be going to support, children in vulnerable situations. And I mean, like, who doesn't like getting a Christmas card or a handwritten note, right? Like, that's such,
Right.
it doesn't happen or it doesn't happen regularly. So if you get it, like, you're so excited about it and you kind of treasure it forever. Or maybe I'm just like that. I like keep all my cards. So it's also a memory that's captured, right? So it's, we're just really happy to have this, and we want, more and more people to get involved,
Mhm.
to support not only the Christmas cards, but also support UNICEF and support, the Filipino children.
Yeah. And for those monsters who are watching or listening as well, you can look up on Manuel Baldemor's artworks online, so you can actually see, like, what his artistic style is like. And once again, like I did mention, very colorful. Some of it can be even abstract, but there's always like a warmth to it whenever he does. Whenever he paints, basically. And so it's a box of 12, 4 paintings, 3 of each, and it's 1,000. So where can they actually order these box sets?
Okay, so just to show it off again. Well, listeners, it's very easy. Okay, so you just type in donate.unicef.ph, and it'll take you to our page where you'll be able to find our Christmas cards. It gets delivered to your house, to wherever. You can also buy for, it's not just a gift for you, it's a gift for your family, it's a gift for your colleagues, all these types of things. And we also take bulk orders, and this can all be orchestrated or connected by going to our website, donate.unicef.ph.
Okay, donate.unicef.ph for all you monsters who are
Yes.
listening or are interested in purchasing also the box set. So the proceeds of this Christmas card set, where will they go to? Is it going to be into, like, the initiatives that you have in place?
Yes, so all of these donations go to our UNICEF Philippines programs. And this
Hmm.
year we hope to raise more so we can support more children with their needs in education, health, protection, climate resilience, and, support in emergencies. So just for example, like the 1,000 peso that you'll be paying for this lovely box set,
Hmm.
um, can help malnourished children recover through ready-to-eat therapeutic foods and life-saving treatments. UNICEF also helps children to get better access to education, support, and resources services. We also support children's health by improving their access to vaccines. All these donations help, and they also help fund our emergency work around the world. So that in every emergency we can be there to support, ready with life-saving supplies. So so the money will be coming to UNICEF Philippines and will be implemented in our programs here locally.
All
So
right.
it's for Filipino children, yes.
Yeah. And so, I mean, what a better way to celebrate Christmas and also, spending some of the, privilege and, the advantages that we have and, spreading it also with children who could also enjoy those things. It's a nice way to celebrate your Christmas this season as well. And so we are wrapping up soon, but I also do want to ask in terms of the priorities, I guess, for UNICEF in the next 5 years or so, because you mentioned we do have that collaboration with PhilHealth, and then you are looking into other things. In the next 5 years or so, what are there some programs that you are already planning so that they can, hopefully be funded also with more campaigns to come and something to look forward to, I guess, for those who might be interested in being more regular donors for UNICEF?
Yes, no, the need is ongoing, right? And when you're looking at, what the priorities are for the next 5 years, so I actually mentioned it earlier. So every 5 years we have a new country program, it's called.
Yeah.
And this is discussed with all the departments of government and agreed to work on a plan, identifying the priorities of the government, and then together with UNICEF working on it, right? So when you're looking ahead, I think the main focus, or one of the main focuses, will be climate, environment, and resilience, as it affects all aspects of children's lives. So it's really it impacts everything. So this will be that will be one of the main priorities. But then, obviously, we have our health and nutrition, we have our child protection, we have our education. We have it feels like I'm forgetting something and I don't want to insult colleagues. Education, child protection. Yes, and then the climate action as well. And then our social policy colleagues as well. That's the one that I didn't mention. Okay.
All right. And finally, for individuals and for communities, what can we do to support UNICEF and so that you can keep doing the good work here in the Philippines, taking care of protecting the children, most vulnerable children here in the Philippines? What can we do personally and as a community?
First, I just want to comment also on the Filipino spirit of helping with your community and things like that. I think that's a beautiful thing to witness, because you don't always get that globally. So I think the first thing is just to continue with that spirit, right? Just to look after your family, look after community, etc. But then when it comes to how people can help UNICEF, it's really, for now, there's a lot of different ways to get involved, but I think for today, it's the financial contribution really goes a long way, and it's really every single peso counts. No donation is too small, no donation is too big, because with these funds, it's not a donation. It's really an investment in humanity. That's what it is, and by providing this, these funds, then we're able to help children all over the Philippines and the world. And the best way to do it is just to go to our website, go to the donate.unicef.ph, buy some Christmas cards. That's the easiest way that you can do it. And how people can get involved, and check out our web pages, look out for our Facebook page, our Instagram. If you want to learn more, please go there. And if you have any questions, just reach out. You can pop an email as well to our one email address. I hope I can give that quickly. So it's donor care. So donor care
Mhm.
at unicef.ph. So that's also, if people want to get in touch, if they want to ask about the Christmas cards, if they have other ideas, please do get in touch. We'll be happy to take it from there as well.
All right. Well, I actually like what you mentioned about, it's an investment in humanity, but not only is it an investment in humanity, it's investment in restoring your faith in humanity too.
That's so true.
Right. And so I think it's just a wonderful thing. And even if, you're not necessarily boots on the ground making it happen, these proceeds will, make the difference for children who need it the most. So Carli, thank you so much for joining me here on Heard on Thursdays. Learned so much about UNICEF, learned so much also about our Christmas card campaign. And I really do hope that a lot of people will be interested in purchasing these box sets so that, they can share the love, share the spirit of Christmas, and also, help children in need. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Monsters, for listening. And support UNICEF. Reach out, please. Okay.
Awesome. So once again, it's donate.unicef.ph.
PH. Yes,
Awesome.
donate.unicef.ph.
And for those who want to be donors or have questions, it's donorcare at
unicef.ph.
unicef.ph. There we go. So that is the show, everybody. Thank you very much for keeping it locked. For now, listen to more music, and we'll catch you again next week, only here on The Monster. Bye.
Monster exclusive interview. Monster exclusive interview. Only from Manila's hottest. Monster RX93.1.